Here.
Yeah.
Steve Hibler,
Present.
Daniel Dwight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can if you want
Daniel
to. I'm
Hoffman.
here.
Okay, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah, I have an easement for the park with Duke Energy and also restoration of the sign for the depot.
And I have several items that we need to get added.
What are you doing?
From the time that the agenda was made to today, we've had a couple things come up. I guess first, there was a request regarding stop signs and speed limits by Bob Hartwick. I'm not sure what Mr. Hartwick is wanting. Hardwick, I'm sorry. What exactly he's wanting to address with the town, but he's here and I believe he would like to address the council. Additionally, we need to add, well actually I believe we already have it under 11D, the town's billboard. I also received notification through the town's Facebook page that Greg Dusing would like to be on the agenda. I'm not sure what Mr. Dusing is wanting to, actually I'm not even sure if he's here tonight. But he did contact the council and request to be on the agenda.
Hey Daniel,
Yes.
that one is for, he wants to have water ran to his property and it's fairly expensive to do so.
Okay. I would also like to request that the council have a conversation regarding the sewer use ordinance that was sent to each of you in regards to the fee structure and how you'd like to do that, now that we're revising it. I'd like to add the town manager role. At our last meeting, it was tabled, but I would like the council to maybe have more conversation regarding the replacing or the replacement of that role with the town. And then the town did receive some information from Robert and Sharon Galloway, and I'm not sure if they're here this evening, but they wanted to address something that had occurred on their property. I don't know if they're here this evening. It doesn't Robert, really actually know. Robert and who? Robert and Sharon Galloway. Sharon. Okay. Now this would be the parent of Wayne.
Wayne's mom and dad.
And if they don't show up, I guess I will provide you just a little bit of information about their request.
It might be online too, maybe they could chime in that way, or?
Potentially. We have a few folks tuning in through our Facebook page, so that's all that I have.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as with the additions?
Well, we have a couple already on there. It was Cheryl owes Debbie 75 for planning, and then confirm Morlock has been paid.
Yes, those were just conversations I
Oh,
needed to
okay,
have
so
with
we don't
Kelly.
need, okay.
And actually, though, there is one more that we need to talk about, and that's in regards to the Main Street property owners. I'd like to give you an update as to what's been going on with the property, and they've made a couple requests that I do need to inform the council of.
I have a question. That's why I've asked to have the agenda 1 week before, so we wouldn't have all this stuff coming up at the last minute and making the meetings longer.
Right, and
A lot of this stuff could be put off until next month's agenda.
And it can, if the council wants to do that, please do that, I don't mind at all, but, I just wanted you to at least know what had happened in the last week.
Right.
Between the time that I sent out the agenda to this evening, so that you're aware. If you don't wanna, have a conversation about that this evening, you do not have to. You guys get to decide that, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept it as it is. Larry?
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, approval of the minutes from last month.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Claims and transfers?
Alright, from the general and the payroll together combined, the amount paid out was $290,283.31.
I'm sorry.
$290, $290,283.31.
Could in the future, could you keep those two separate?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Then I have water, from the water claims was $94,165.53.
Do I have a motion for water?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then wastewater, $142,676.92.
One more time, please.
$142,676.92.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
My motion. I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Town marshal.
Here, I have two more here if you want. I don't know if you want these or not, there are two more financial documents. One is an allowance document that it just shows how much of each person was paid. These are two, they're new forms, I don't know if you want those or not.
Just keep them so if they want us to.
Okay.
We're gonna do payroll?
Payroll in general was together.
Okay.
And if you could, before we start, Steve, if you would just speak loudly enough. As always, we're having issues with our stream. We don't have quality streaming equipment here at town, so.
Well, I've been accused of being quite loud anyway, so
Well,
there we go.
I appreciate it. So.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a few things to cover this evening, but probably the first thing I want to get to, because as you see, we've got a big crowd in the back of the room today. Cloverdale is going to welcome its newest deputy marshal. I'll tell you a little bit about this. We opened the job up. Believe it or not, we had 86 applications. Of those 86 initial screening, we were able to invite 50 for testing and ended up with 8 in the oral interview process. And it turns out we've got a 2014 Cloverdale grad who happened to do 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, came out as a sergeant. So we've got one of our local young men that now is going to join the force here at Cloverdale. Dan? It goes by Wade. Okay, Kelly? She's going to swear you in. That's okay, that's okay. Great.
Okay, raise your right hand. I, and state your name,
I, Daniel Lee Wayborn,
will support the Constitution
will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state
and of the state
of Indiana,
of Indiana,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a police officer
as a police officer
for the town of Cloverdale,
for the town of Cloverdale,
Putnam County,
Putnam County,
state of Indiana,
state of Indiana,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
if you want, you could more than like, family wants to come and get some pictures up here, please do. That's fine. By the way, his mother back here works at the school here in Cloverdale, so.
I know almost everyone in here.
Anybody want to come up? Yes. Okay, please, this is a big time. Let's get this photograph. Okay. He's got a big family here in the community, so.
Where'd she go? Come here, Lee, I'll get them first, and then she's gonna get us. Come here. She's got the wall. Take a picture. Take a picture. Sorry, she's very David.
It's fine.
Look, smile. Oh, yes. Look at Mama, smile. Landon. Look over here, buddy. Look at Mom. One more. Say cheese. Good one. You ready? Okay. Take your guys.
And of course, there you will, Mom. There you go.
Already. It's your sister.
And I'll tell, I mean, right now, I'm real proud of the fact that all 6 of our full-time employees here are all former military. So, adding a Marine to the mix, we now got Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine all represented. So. I know.
Can you see us? Yeah. You're almost full.
Almost.
You want to scoot your head a little bit, me? Yeah. No, he's like you. Right in front of your chin. Scoot over a little bit. You. There you go. There you go. We'll get out of your way.
Yeah. All right, I know we've got added on here as well. I've got something about adding stop sign devices. I know there's some discussion about adding to the stop signs, I think on Stardust Road. Yes. For the new, and Daniel, I'm really not sure what we're talking about, adding some of the flashing stuff. I know there's some cost.
What it was the
little
spinning
bird
Little
on top.
spinning devices that are lit with
Not even lit, just
Not even lit ones?
just
Okay.
something to draw attention to
Wind
the sign.
rotation.
And I'll tell you, we've had, we haven't written tickets yet, so we're trying to, we stop people from warnings and such. But even today, we were coming back from C-Bar-C, and a lady from out of town going to C-Bar-C went right through the stop sign, didn't even see it. So, I know that is an issue we need to try to, yes,
The
sir.
other day, there was a car stopped to turn left. Car went around the bypass and never stopped.
Right, and we've been running into that every time we go down there. So, that, yes, Mr. Getty?
Well, last Saturday morning, we had a major problem with someone from C-Bar-C that pulled up to the stop sign and didn't like the stop sign and went around and pulled the tank open on their waste water tank for their RV. Dumped the waste along Stardust Road,
All the way up
across
to
the
231.
entrance of Stardust Hills, and on down Stardust Road all the way to 231 and around onto 231. I made several calls.
We got.
God finally washed the road about 6 o'clock. Nobody else came, nobody else did anything. I will not call the town the next time. But somebody needs to talk to C-Bar-C people about taking care of their waste. Take it home with them and not dump it in our front yards.
Noted. I know our street department made some phone calls that afternoon. I got notified. They were trying to find out about going out, about the time they were gonna roll out there's when the rain broke loose. So. The other thing we're gonna discuss tonight, I've got the grant that we've talked about, need to discuss. We've got a U.S. Department of Agricultural grant that they've got a great program that we're in the middle of working with. We've got 2 bids for 2 different vehicles, 3 bids each. One of them is for a Ford Explorer that will replace the school police car. That car will then move into the reserve fleet. And also the K9 car has got 80,000 miles on it now. And Levi's a big boy, and our dog's takes up a little bit of room, so we're looking at a, what they call the SVU Ford has, which is the upsize from the Explorer. So with that being said, the grant actually pays 55% of the vehicle price. So I've got some of these, I'll pass them around so the council can see them. And of course, the school car, we'd split that with the school. But in essence, we could end up with 2 brand new cars for about high 20s, low 30s, which is,
And you usually go for 50-something a piece, right?
yeah. Oh, the SVU is a $76,000, something like that vehicle. But it comes, these are all fully equipped, turnkey ready, radios, lighting. The K9 car would have a K9 cage in there as well as a prisoner transport cage in there. So
Do you know where you're at on the grant?
this was a part of the grant, is discussing it, the Department of Agriculture, they've been doing this for a while, helping a lot of the agencies out, and one of the things we have to discuss it in a public meeting, on the record, the minutes, then we submit the minutes from this meeting along with that to show that we have the 3 bids on each of the vehicles and that we discussed, and how gracious the Department of Agriculture is to step in and help law enforcement, because our equipment is very important to us to be able to move around, patrol around the community, and they're quite encumbersome on the taxpayers themselves. To have an organization like this that will step in and help a law enforcement agency like ourselves in a small community like this is excellent. And this is the first of a whole series of grants that we're going to start looking for. We're going to start looking at ones for vests, radio equipment, and that type of thing. I've got given you all the year-to-date report. We're down our numbers a little bit this year from the past, but with the COVID, it has been kind of a slow year. But we have 1,375 calls for service to date, so that's still quite a bit moving around out there. Police services, 429 police services. We're at 50 traffic arrests and 344 warnings. Probably more notable right now is the amount of criminal arrests. If you look at the back page, you can see I think we had like 13 criminal arrests for June. And quite a few of them, we had some warrant arrests, and we also had some possession of drug arrests, drug driving arrests. So Levi's out there hitting it hard. James has been out hitting it hard. James, since the school hadn't been in, has been covering the backside of Levi's shift. James is also set to go to the academy starting August 3rd. So we'll lose him for the 16 weeks he'll be attending the academy.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Wahita's Academy, who will replace him at school?
Wade's going to have the opportunity to work a little bit over there, so probably a mixture between Wade, Adam, and I covering him with the school. Yeah, because that's a primary concern we've got, is make sure the school stays covered.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Fire Chief? Clerk Treasurer?
I think Daniel wanted me to speak some about the town hall hours. I know you all had talked about changing the hours, extending them.
Yeah, if you want, I can give you a little bit of an introduction. We just briefly talked about it last month.
Okay.
And actually, Kelly, if you want, I just give you a little bit of foundation. Back in, and probably people on Facebook as well, back in May, I believe, of this year, the council had made the decision that by July 6th, it would like to have the town hours increased to have the office open on Wednesdays and then a half day on Saturday. Council approved that, I think, back in May. I do want you all to know too, and I think Kelly probably will touch on this briefly, we are still awaiting our, it's not an audit per se, but it's a financial analysis as to where the town is this year financially. And we will have that by the end of July. So just be aware of that as Kelly's talking. I just want you all to be thinking and considering those things. Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to give some background, some context.
No, that was one of the things I was going to talk about, because I was just gonna suggest that the council wait. I just have a couple pieces of information. Number one, because I'm brand new, and because arguments happen, none of us really knows where we stand financially. And so to increase, to take on extra financial things at this time, I'm just not sure where we stand, basically. And secondly, we have something coming, we're working on in the utility office. I had been working on it when I was in the utility office, for online bill pay, which would allow people 24-hour, 7 days a week access to pay their bills, and to get service that way. And it not only would it be with credit card, you could use debit card, you can also do ACH through your checking account, and set up automatic payments. And currently, we have about 20% of our customers pay by credit card right now. So we're looking at probably a decrease in foot traffic to the office and phone traffic by at least 20%. And I honestly believe we'll have a lot more than that. I think people have been wanting this auto pay for a long time, and I think that will increase, be able to increase our availability with less financial impact. It's gonna decrease the work for the girls in the office. So just with those two things, I would just ask that we wait a little bit. Let's see the impact that this actually has on the foot traffic and the phone calls, and to see where we stand before we increase payroll and potentially hiring another person. Because if you do go with 5 days a week and increase the time each day, plus a half day on Saturday, you're looking at hiring another person. Sam goes back to school in August, so she won't be available. So potentially hiring at least one more person, possibly two, depending on the coverage that you want. So I would just ask that maybe we could think about this and see how things play out, and then maybe consider that for the budget for next year, increasing employees if need be.
How soon do you expect to have the online up and running?
Well, when I was in the utility office, I was hoping to present this to you in August. I've since been a little preoccupied.
A little busy?
And I was hoping maybe I can have it for you. I can try by August. It's probably gonna be September. Maybe I can at least introduce it in August so you guys can be thinking about it. Once we do sign the contract, there was like a 3-month setup period of time where they would come in and there would have to be, it would take that long. So at least my goal in the utility office was to get it going before the end of the year, October, November. But I can definitely try to get something, get you guys a copy of the contract and get some more details worked out so I can present it at the next meeting.
I do think it's key that we, maybe wait until the audit is done. You said July it'll start, Daniel?
Yes, Janet Alexander, she has started, or she's in the process, but she believes she'll have it finalized by the end of this month.
Okay.
And what she would like to do is go ahead and schedule something with the entire council to review it, but also use it as a time to kind of start laying the foundation for next year's budget, and just kind of present use it as a teaching opportunity.
Right. Well, sure. Will that be a
So-
special meeting then, or?
Yes. And I'll be in contact here, just trying to work around everyone's schedules. I wanna make sure that everybody's able to attend and hopefully participate in it, so.
And then again, too, to your point, we're at 4.5 now instead of 5, so really we got a few more weeks before we even get out of the COVID situation. And
Yes.
so, yeah.
And I will say too, just to follow up off of what Kelly had mentioned, with COVID, property taxes, generally we get 2 disbursements. Property taxes have been pushed back, and so that's the other kind of key that we're missing right now in terms of where the town is financially. We're not sure what impact that's gonna have, and I'm sure most of the state's dealing with that, but those are all considerations that we'll wanna be thinking about for next year when we do make the budget, and be planning for, if you wanna have extended hours throughout the week. That's all I would just ask that the council take into consideration.
Well, I think it would be beneficial with the online hopefully coming soon, that we're gonna have a whole lot less need for the 5 or 6 day service here. And I think we'd be okay staying with our current schedule. And let's see how things go once we get the online up and running. And we may not have a need for it.
There may be some folks that don't have online, but they can still call in, right?
Yes, we will
You know,
still.
with credit cards and everything.
Yes.
But I think the workload of answering those phones, once that online is up and running,
Right.
is gonna be, reduced to almost nothing.
Yeah.
Because everybody's online anymore.
Done.
So we're gonna stay with the 4 days a week for the present time?
Well, we haven't had a motion yet, but it sounds that way.
Well, it may be that folks paying their bills and that kind of stuff can do it online. But there's a lot of other town business that it still requires the old-fashioned telephone calls, one-on-one, to have someone respond. And I'm one of those people. And it's really tough to, I'm not cutting my business back to 4 days a week. I'm there 5.5 days a week. I do not expect the town to be there on Saturdays. But certainly I do think that 5 days a week has been traditional, and I think that that's what the public ought to have available to them, is a 5 day a week opportunity for the office to be open.
I will say, if the office is open on Wednesday during.
Kelly, could you move your microphone up a little, please?
There are no
The
mics, Dan.
mics aren't working, just
I'll try to talk louder. Is that any better?
That's better, thank you,
Okay.
dear.
I will say, under our current, the way we operate right now, the utility workers, the guys who actually fulfill the work orders and things for us, the stuff like you're talking about, other than paying bills, they do not support the utility office on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is used for them to do their bigger projects or things around town where they can actually dedicate a whole day to getting something done for the town without being interrupted constantly from our office. So that wouldn't change unless the council decided to change all the, to change more schedules. But if we were open on Wednesday, the only thing you would be able to do would be to pay bills.
Can you be specific, Don, as to what you need to have taken care of on a Wednesday versus a Tuesday or Thursday?
Well, it occurs, it happens, that we need a water service turned on or turned off to wash homes or to do a water test for a closing that's going to happen, and so that we can have it turned on for an appraiser that lets us know at 9 o'clock in the morning that he's gonna be there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and to appraise the home, he's gotta have the water turned on. And so, boom.
And those couldn't be scheduled for a Tuesday or a Thursday? I mean, generally speaking,
Well,
they do
if
schedule
I-
days in advance.
You know, if I know what everybody is going to do on a timely basis, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, yes, I can plan around the town of Cloverdale and accommodate the town of Cloverdale. But I can't run a full-time business and be there 5 days and 5.5 days a week and just have town, well, they're not there today. They're closed today. Makes no sense.
And it also depends
Lumber
when the
company is
appraiser
open
can get
5
there.
days a week.
It also depends when the appraiser can get there.
The appraisers are usually scheduled out a week or two in advance.
Wrong.
How often?
When we did it, it was just a couple days. And it was just, I was told when they were be there, this is when he can be there. It wasn't, we didn't get that kind of notice at all.
How have we been handling those type of incidences in the past?
If there's something that comes up like that, it's a rare, special occasion or something like that, and they let us know ahead of time.
So
or they
that's,
call on a
can we
Tuesday,
not
work things out.
continue to work with that process?
Right, if he calls in on Tuesday and says, I got an appraiser coming on
Then I
Wednesday,
think we can
we
accommodate
can
that.
turn that water on Wednesday morning.
Is there
I say, if I know in advance.
But you're gonna get a call the day before.
Line, like, I mean, serious, like if there was a water gushing or something.
there's an emergency.
So, there you go, there's call the emergency line if something happens that's not scheduled or not planned, or plans change,
But if Don finds out from an appraiser that he's got an inspection scheduled for Wednesday, he could contact the office on Monday or Tuesday and let us know, and we could accommodate that.
Right, and what I'm saying is if
That's
like
true.
that were to change,
That's true,
yep,
but I don't always get that notification in advance.
that's the reason I'm suggesting emergency line.
Well, but then we don't have a work order and something can slip through the cracks and the water stay left on.
Or off, yeah.
So you can make two phone calls?
We wouldn't have a work order if you called
The emergency line.
the emergency line. Because the guys don't they do work orders, but they don't write work orders.
So what's emergency line for then?
Emergencies.
Water leaks and such.
Okay.
I don't know, we'll have to give that a little bit of thought as to whether
Yeah.
that would work or not.
But I think we can come up with
Workarounds.
some way to accommodate that, Don, on those special occasions. That we can get somebody out there to take care of what you need done to do your business.
And again, we're waiting on the results of the audit, Don, to
I have
see where we
survived
stand.
through this previous.
All these years.
Time period it's been, with 4 days a week. I will survive the next, whatever period of time God gives me, with 4 days a week.
How have you been making it work in the past? Just,
You just do without.
so when you have that Wednesday scheduled appraiser and you need something done, what are we doing? Just reschedule?
Reschedule him.
Something that might help to use the emergency number would be a cell phone for the clerk, is that right?
The utility clerk?
Yes, for Susie. She's presently using her own cell phone to take,
Emergency calls.
well, no, to take that a work order's been done, so that she can enter it into the computer. And she did tell me that her phone bill is up a little bit over that. So it would be nice if we had a cell phone in here for her, just to, when the guys are in the field, they can send her a message, and that would alleviate the not having a work order.
Her phone won't send them in there 95% of the time. We don't know why.
Oh,
Don't we have the same capability to just call it in and leave a message?
well,
It's to send them to the guys in the field.
yeah. But they do a lot of messaging back and forth as far as, there's a turn on at Stardust Hills, whatever line.
So if Susie's kind of the go-to manager liaison, then yeah, she should have a communication device to communicate with the guys so she can keep record.
Yeah, she is the utility clerk, and previously the town manager was the communication between the two offices, and when that became a vacant position, then it just defaulted that she was trying to get the communication.
So I would say let's get her a cell phone that she can use and replace Wayne's old cell phone and give it to her.
And maybe reimburse her for some of that cost.
Unless you're gonna fill the town manager position, in which case that would take that off of Susie and.
Yep, and then we can
change that.
move that phone back to the town manager position, but in the interim,
Potentially, we have a phone in there, we could
We
just
just
get
probably need to go
get
ahead
another
and get a new
device.
phone.
yeah, I'd keep that
That
phone
number.
just for your,
Right.
but I would say let's go ahead and get a phone for Susie so she can immediately start doing that, so she's not using her personal phone.
Okay, do I have a motion to hold off on the changing business hours?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Shut-offs, I believe Daniel was gonna speak to that.
An update to that. The governor issued another executive order extending the requirement to, that basically would prevent municipalities from shutting off essential utilities to people during the COVID pandemic. That has been extended to August 14th. Also, the governor does request, or did request through the executive order, that the towns and various municipalities around the state work with citizens to try to set up repayment plans and staggered payments if at all possible, to ensure that people continue to have utility service. So previously it was June, it was
July 4th.
June 30th.
it was June 30th, that's right, and the governor extended it out to August 14th. So I know the town was planning on informing the people in the community about that shutoffs would begin at the end of June, but the governor did extend that, so we will just wait and see. Hopefully the pandemic will potentially end and we'll be able to return to normal business. I just wanted to, I guess, give you an update in regards to that issue.
And then Daniel, if I may, if you happen to need help with your water bill, just call our office during regular business hours and we can work something out. So don't wait until like the day of shut off, and like let us know ahead of time and we'll work with you. We'll set it up.
So if you guys can't hear that online, the town would just request that if you have the need to work out some kind of payment arrangement, to contact the town sooner rather than later, and the town is more than willing to work with you and assist you in that. And that's all I have in regards to that.
Okay. New business? Sewer use ordinance?
Just to give you all an update in regards to the sewer use ordinance, the town is revising its ordinance. We're working with UMAC to do that. Bridget Murphy from UMAC has been basically making some minor changes, and I did send that out to the council for your review so that you could read through it. And I tried to highlight the areas that were the changed areas. I did get some feedback from Mr. J, actually, in regards to the language in that ordinance that says town manager, specifically identifies town manager. I know the town hasn't replaced or may not replace that person. At this point, we'll hopefully have a decision maybe on that in the next couple months.
Right.
But in regards to that position, I was thinking about, should we remove that specific language? And I think we'll hold off. And the reason I say that is because we actually, throughout most of the code book that we have, the town manager role is identified in various ordinances. So once I guess the council decides as to what you'd like to do with that town manager role, we'll do a full revision of everything in the code to amend it to make sure that language is taken out if you don't replace the town manager. So what I would probably have you do is just, if you feel comfortable approving it, go ahead and approve it as it is, and then we'll go back and revise the code book, because we're gonna have to do that anyways, depending on what you guys decide to do. The only other thing with the sewer use ordinance is that under the, and I can pull it up here. So it would be, it's a pretty lengthy ordinance. It would be page 4, I believe, of 52.006 under prohibited discharges. The town does have the ability to cite individuals or businesses who are not in compliance with the sewer use ordinance. And in working with Bridget, we left that space blank in regards to what the town would like to assess as a fee. I mentioned, I think in the email, that generally citations start at $250 per violation. And generally it is higher for businesses because use is generally more in those instances. But I left that blank so that the council would have the opportunity to talk about that and make a decision as to how you would like to structure the fees in the sewer use ordinance. And I will turn it over to you.
Is there any discussion on this?
When will the public have an opportunity to look at this ordinance as proposed changes?
Once it's been completed, I suppose.
Yep, and if you.
After it's passed or before it's passed?
Well, we haven't passed anything yet. We're still in the discussion phase at this point, so no, before it's passed, you can definitely see it. You would have to make a request. Obviously, if I don't know about it, I can't send it to you. So please send me an email or reach out to Kelly, and we can definitely get a copy for you to review, certainly. And actually, once it is done and the council does approve it, then we will, we're required to publish it in the newspaper as well, so that if there are folks who maybe aren't in attendance on a monthly basis, that they'll potentially have the ability to review it through the newspaper. But I'm definitely can send you, definitely can get you a copy.
Do we need to decide on a dollar amount, because we're going forward as well? Or?
Well, I think that yeah, just kind of, you know, we're just filling in the blanks at this point. It's pretty much all done.
Okay.
And Bridget, in working with UMAC, she's trying to revise the ordinance because the town has issues with I&I and infiltration of stormwater. So she's trying to do some things, and this is just one piece of kind of a larger picture in helping alleviate some of these issues, so that hopefully IDIM will be satisfied and we can then start to talk long-term. How are we gonna make improvements? What are we gonna do? And this is just a small piece of that.
Well, I wouldn't, as far as our industrial or businesses in Cloverdale, I would assume that a lot of our businesses probably use less sewer than some of the residentials because of the type of businesses they are. So I wouldn't see that we would need to have an increased fee for a business unless it's a industrial type of commercial that's gonna have a higher, you know, usage.
I would think too, you'll wanna be thinking long-term. So in the event
So I think we need to word that in, that, you know, a low-use commercial shouldn't be penalized just because they're quote-unquote commercial, unless it's a high-use commercial. And I think we would have to maybe have some. Yes, Dan?
Most businesses don't do laundry, they don't take showers.
That's exactly why I'm saying I wouldn't think we would penalize a business that's not even, you know. So I would say if it's a high-use business, then we could put a higher penalty on it. Yes, sir?
Possibly could control that with the size of the water meter that they would have. If they have a 2-inch or a 3-inch
Well,
water
we
meter.
could break
they're
it down
obviously
in
gonna have a
consumption,
fire
if it's a, you know, a 10,000 gallon or a 20,000 gallon.
A day.
Yes,
Don't pick on me, I run a car wash. And I will tell you, in relevance to my water and sewer bill, my water and sewer bill is at as much here as it is in Greencastle. And I do 2/3, probably maybe about a third more business in Greencastle than I do here, in my water and sewer bill is almost exactly the same.
and
So what I'm telling you is that the price is already right for me, okay? Maybe a little bit on the high side now. So I'm just
well,
saying
and
for a
there's
guy
a
that runs a
history
car
of why
wash.
there's a high water and sewer bill in Cloverdale.
Thank you. I'm a nice customer, I pay my bill on time, right?
But that's what I'm trying to emphasize, is to penalize a business that may have a quarter or less of usage in water and sewer, just because they're quote-unquote a commercial. I think we need to really break it down to consumption.
But this is a violation, isn't it?
It would be.
It's for a violation.
It would be
It's
for a
B,
violation. Yeah.
for a violation.
What would the nature of the violation be?
Eating
at Taco Bell.
Basically, I think the violation is if they do not have any water turned on, isn't it? Is that correct or not?
Well, here's a couple of different things that would be prohibited. It would be unlawful for any person to place, deposit, or permit to be deposited in an unsanitary manner upon public or private property within the town or in any area under the jurisdiction of town, any human or animal excrement, garbage, or other objectionable waste. No person shall discharge or cause to be discharged any sanitary sewer into any sanitary sewer under the jurisdiction of the town, either directly or indirectly, stormwater, surface water, groundwater, roof runoff, subsurface drainage, non-contact cooling water, or other unpolluted waters. Another one, no person shall discharge or cause to be discharged to any natural outlet in the town or in any areas under the jurisdiction of the town, any wastewater, sewage, or other polluted water, except where suitable treatment has been provided in accordance with provisions of this subchapter and an NPDES permit. So these are very specific activities that are geared to,
I'm good with that.
kind of bring,
Don't do any of that.
yeah.
Mhm.
The goal is that, you know, probably this won't affect most people, but it will show efforts by the town to improve the INI.
So I would be more comfortable in this situation of same fine for both business and commercial, but increasing for first, second, third offenses.
You said commercial and business, do you mean
Commercial and
residential?
personal.
Residential?
And we can definitely do that.
I mean, we don't have any large businesses in Cloverdale that would justify charging them extra just because they have, you know, a commercial business when they're using probably less water and sewer than the average public. So I would say let's just do a compounded fine rather than,
I don't know, there's a gun owner, you know, gun store owner.
Could we
and
go
he
ahead,
eats at Taco Bell, is that what you're saying?
could we go ahead and leave those separate with the same fee for business and residential?
Sure.
And that way, it would already be written if we change that fee at a later date.
To separate them.
Right. Keep them separate now and so that in the future.
We could modify one.
Right.
And then still, do you still wanna tier both of them? Is that what you're saying, Greg?
I think we should obviously tier for a first, second, third offense type thing.
But you're saying for both commercial and residential?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Let me just make a note.
Yes, sir.
So is it mainly rain gutter water that you're talking about? Is kind of flooding the sewage treatment plant, and you're having to treat extra water because you have rainwater in there mixed in with regular
It's
flood?
intrusion into the system, yes.
So that
Sump
causes
pumps.
the numbers to go up, and that's the biggest problem is rain gutters.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, a lot of that's infiltration too.
Yes.
Some of it is.
A lot of the sewage is infiltration.
Some
I've
of
heard
it
that
is.
for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's a normal occurrence in older sewer systems.
You mean a leak in the
Leak
pipe?
in the piping
Laterals.
underground, the laterals.
Where the rainwater.
And that's something we're on a continuous trying to fix and patch and line and, yes, Mark?
Can you give me an example of what a violation would be?
If you had your gutters running into the sewer,
Okay,
that would be one.
okay,
Sump pump would be another one.
And you
Sump pump would be another one.
okay.
Dumping motor oil into your system.
Okay.
So that was good. That was helpful, and what I'll do is I'll make those changes, and I'll be in contact with Bridget Murphy. We'll get that resolved, and then hopefully we'll have a finished product that we can get presented to the council and that we can distribute and allow people to review it. So, thank you for the conversation on I'm finished. So if you'd like to move on to the next one, you are.
Okay, salary ordinance?
Just briefly, there were just some minor changes that needed to be fixed in the town's salary ordinance. And most significantly, we needed to get the salaries fixed for Rick. And I'm not sure if Rick's here,
He was.
but we needed to get his pay fixed. We also needed to get the pay on the deputy clerk fixed and amended. And then finally, you know, over the last month and a half, 2 months, Susie and Sam have just been incredible helping the town and kind of going the extra mile. And back in, I believe it was May, the council had approved paying Sam an additional stipend of money for the additional hours that she was taking on beyond her normal part-time status. So in working with the town's auditors, and actually I got the information from Sam and Susie, you'll see a one-time emergency bonus for Susie and Sam. And that bonus ranges from $1,000 to $3,000 depending on the amount of hours that they work. So basically what we'll be able to do now that we have the hours that they've worked, I'll be able to get that information plugged in and get Sam reimbursed at the amount that the council had agreed to back in May, which was I think $17 an hour. And then Susie, we need to pay her for her overtime that she's been working during this period. So we're gonna just pay her her normal rate, hourly rate, and then for everything beyond the 40 hours, we'll pay her time and a half. So that $1,000 to $3,000 window is gonna give the auditor and myself the ability to kind of go ahead and get those funds distributed to Sam and Susie. So that's why you see that change in the salary ordinance. There's really only 4 minor changes. But hopefully this will be the last salary ordinance change or amendment that we have before the fall, when we are going to do a just enormous change. We're gonna revamp how we structure our salary ordinances, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of just amend them to make them stronger and better for the town moving forward.
Daniel, is the payout for the bonuses, is it, the dollar amount that you're quoting, is that gross or net?
That would be gross.
Okay, so just keep in mind that they're gonna lose about 50% of that to taxes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, Sam.
No,
I know.
So yeah,
They would have lost it anyhow.
that would be gross.
And when you say, like, I hear different dollar amounts, are you saying 1,000 and 3,000, and it's up to the town council to decide?
Total hours that have been worked overtime calculated to the formula.
Yeah, so the way the salary ordinance is drafted, and this is based on the way, this is what the town's auditor has recommended how we handle it, is that we put just kind of a window of 1,000 to 3,000, and then once we figure out all the hours that Sam and Susie have worked, then we'll already be able to go ahead and distribute those payments. So the way the salary ordinance is written is with that guidance in mind. So now that we have the hours, we can get those checks written once the council approves those changes.
Is there a state or federal law that, that requires the town to pay for those extra hours within a, like a particular time frame? Like, because it's overtime, right, is what I'm hearing, like, there was some overtime worked, you have to pay for the overtime. Are you required to pay that out in a particular time frame, like within the same quarter that they worked it, the same month that they worked it, the same year that they worked it?
I'm not sure if there is. I think the key is if they're getting paid, and that's the important thing, is that we need to make sure they're reimbursed for their time.
Right.
When the town had approved that Sam worked those additional hours back in May, it was kind of one of those things where we didn't have a clerk treasurer at the time, so we didn't really have any idea as to how many hours she would be working, how long it would last.
Right.
But the council needed her in that position to really help keep the town afloat. So, you know, at that point, it was kind of it would have been difficult to really know I guess, the full extent of, as to how many hours she would be working.
And is
So-
is Sam still working over, extra hours?
She is, and Kelly will be hiring her new deputy soon, and then the training will begin with that, and then Sam will be able to, because she's gonna be starting school soon,
Gotcha.
step back.
Yay.
And hopefully things will kind of be back into normal routine in terms of how the office is structured, and Sam won't have to deal with a million emails from me, which will probably be glorious for her.
Then what would I look forward to in
Yeah,
that?
yeah, don't think that's the case. So this, ultimately, this final amendment to the salary ordinance will take care of those changes for Sam and Susie, but also for the new officer that we've hired and the new deputy clerk who will be hired hopefully here shortly, so. The only change I will say too that I did make, from the copy that I sent to you last week, it was a minor change. There was some language under the deputy clerk role that said based on a 32-hour work week. I removed that. And there was language under the police department evidence collection specialist regarding based on a, I think it was a 32 or 40-hour work week.
40 hours,
Yeah, I removed that too. So, once we've got that language out of there, I've got a copy, if you'd like to look at the final copy for you to see the changes that I would be requesting the council approve this evening. My pants. And here's that copy for you.
On this email while we're waiting, Daniel, did you get anything back on the hours on our email? Oh, maybe you did, I'm sorry, it's down here. So, right down there, the hours, okay.
Yeah, and I talked to Cindy Susan and we went down by week, so we know exactly what they were getting paid each week, and then I could estimate and get them those checks.
All right, cool, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm done on that. If you, I will tell you too, because it is an ordinance and I would be requesting that the council approve that this evening. We would have to do a waiver of the,
Second.
that's right, of the second reading of the ordinance, which ultimately that means that I'd have to have a majority vote of all four of you approving that, and then we would have to go to the final vote this evening.
So I would motion we accept it as it's written.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And now, final vote. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, budget training, when to schedule?
Just as an update on that, I've been working with Janet Alexander. When is a good time at the end of the month for you? I know generally, Gary, Thursdays and Tuesdays are better for you.
Yeah.
And I was looking at potentially the week of, pull up a calendar. Potentially the 27th through the 31st of July. I don't know, any of you have any?
Is that for council or will I be included in that?
Yep, you would be included too.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not available the last week of July.
Okay, well, we could do,
The week of the 20th, I'll be in Pennsylvania.
Maybe the 3rd to the 7th of August?
Yep.
I think I'm okay.
Is that okay for you all?
So far, so good.
Gary? No, then we're good.
Checking your calendars.
I'm okay.
3rd to the 7th, okay. So we'll probably aim for the 4th of August for that. I will reach out to Janet, make sure that works for her, and I will let you all know.
That will be an evening meeting, right?
It will be.
I have something for it, but
You can stay up that late.
I will say it's gonna be a late meeting, probably. It's gonna be every bit of 30 hours. So I will be bringing dinner for us.
So we want to start at 6 or something early?
I would probably say maybe 5:30.
Yeah.
We're gonna want to probably start earlier rather than later, just because it's gonna be a little bit.
Oh, it's a Tuesday. This isn't an all-nighter thing for the finance rules, is that?
It is, it's just gonna be a meeting for the, talking regarding the finances.
Okay.
Yeah, and it will be in August, so we'll get that published and get notice out.
It affects my life
Yeah.
a lot.
Really?
And this is gonna be after she's done with the audit?
Yes, and I would ask too, that Steve and Kelly and all the department heads attend, so we would probably wanna get Brad there, and also Richard, yes. Because we want this to be, we want,
Very transparent.
well, that, but we also, in the past, we've kinda had that town manager role, and the town manager is the person kinda designated. I know the council in the past has talked about having the department heads participate in overseeing their individual fields. So ultimately, if you guys could all attend that, and
You'll know what you're
that would be the goal.
first time.
That's August 4th.
Okay.
Daniel, I didn't know where
Yes.
you had it on the agenda. Mr. Hartwick's been very patient waiting here, and he's got, I don't know if you wanna, when you wanna get him up here to.
We will let him go next. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Where do I stand?
Podium.
You can come back to the podium.
Sounds good. Gives you a place to hide in case people throw rocks at you. Okay, my name is Bob Hardwick. I'm a business person here in Putnam County. I've run the car wash out here for 27 years. It just seemed like the other day we were asking for a building permit, and so we've been here quite some time. I also own and operate the Soapy Joe's Car Wash in Greencastle. But it's not about wastewater that I'm gonna talk about today. So, just a little something I did the other day, driving up and down the street, so I'm glad that the town marshal didn't arrest me for pulling over along the line here. And these are the little speed zones on the agenda. There's something about stop signs. Stop signs would be great, right in front of my business would be terrific. Put a little toll road through there, that would also be great too. But really I'm concerned a little bit about, it's a public safety issue here, and I don't know public safety, as I've pulled into the car wash a time or two, and you've nearly got hit the keister. I don't know if everybody knows what a keister is. Everyone knows? Need one? Everybody got one? Okay, so you can see by my little graph here, as you're coming from the north to the south, let's go that way. The Stone Quarry, it's 50 miles an hour. Right there, RTM is 45 at I-70, and the stoplight, it's 45. Stoplight where First National Bank is 45. Cloverdale Drugstore there, 45, and then Dollar General is 45. Right there at the church, it kind of changes to 40. Like my car wash, it's 40.
Casey's General Store, it's still 40. Liquor store, guess that's important to slow down at the liquor store. Anyhow, that drops down to 30 through the middle of town, and out by the American Legion back up to 40, right there at the little bridge. Amazingly enough, at your children's park, it's 50, and then at 231 and 42, it's 50. So, what I'm asking for is that we get a little traffic study done by the state of Indiana. They kind of regulate things here. This is a US Highway 2, but I think they also regulate that. And I don't know whether it's your jurisdiction to go out there and just slap up new 12-mile-an-hour signs. That'd be the preferred method for me. Slower is better. So there's two things, an issue here, and I think we could probably reduce most of these by at least 5 to 10 miles an hour, especially because there are a lot of new businesses here that weren't here 27 years ago when I started my little venture here in Cloverdale, Indiana. There wasn't a Taco Bell, and there wasn't, the First National Bank wasn't out there, and there's a bunch of little businesses that are along here now. We got a Dollar General there, and we got Casey's General Store, and these are all new businesses in here. So twofold. When you slow traffic down a little bit, you get a little more safety. Now, we could talk about how many car wrecks that we've had just in the last 3 weeks, right in that little area, right there by Dollar General, boom, 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 pretty serious accidents right there. Some people got injured, lifeline, all that good stuff. So, I'd like to have it so that people have an opportunity to turn into my business and not get hit in the rear end. You turn left, boom, there's a little place there for people to go on to the side of you, but that's what I'm here asking for. And I'm asking for a traffic study because my opinion is my opinion, which is maybe different than everybody else. Maybe every other business people want it to be 70 miles an hour through town, so no one stops at their business. There's a twofold process here. If you slow traffic down a little bit, guess what happens?
They see things they haven't seen before.
Well, maybe they see things and maybe they have an opportunity to stop and spend a few bucks. So would that be bad if we had a little more public safety, we didn't get people hurt, and 2, they stopped in and bought a little more stuff in Cloverdale, Indiana. Maybe a smidge more revenue couldn't hurt. So that's what I'm asking for, it's just something really simple, and I think it needs to be done. The town has grown. I've seen it in the 27 years that I've been here. Studies for car washes only says if you're in a slower, but it kind of makes sense. People get an opportunity to. And when I did this, and I drove through town, I was making notes, and I drove north to south and south to north a couple of times, and I was astonished there at the, you have a beautiful little children's park there, and it's 50. Zoom. You want to turn in there, you're coming from the south to the north, and you want to stop at the thing here? Well, you know, so I think these all can be revised. I would be curious what town marshal might have to say about his thoughts of it, unless I'm just way off base.
Well,
I don't wanna be
no, I
off
wouldn't
base.
say that you're off base. It's one of the things I know our officers talk about, because the speed limit's going from 50 to 45 to 40 to 30, and then back up again. It's quite a bit on where they're at. I don't know if we could go talk to the state highway department. Really, probably through most of the town should be 30 mile an hour. And coming off that hill up there by the interstate, where it's 45, when you're talking about from the drugstore,
Right.
you know, what we have found, and we have worked in 3.5 years I've been here, a bunch of crashes right there at Dollar General Store especially. And usually they're rear end crashes, people coming pretty hot off that hill, and if they're not planning on turning, they're sometimes not paying attention, and they just drive right into the rear end of the vehicle. A little slower might make them observe a little bit better. So I most certainly can contact state highway folks and see what they.
Yeah, and I know your guys are on the job because I've called a time or two on different little things in bingo. The police are there, just, you guys are there, nothing flat. So we appreciate that. That's all I got to say, other than I would hope that you would take that under consideration and, you know, look into it a little bit. And I know we can't just go out there and change the speed limit signs. We have to get an okay from some higher authority, but I think if we had a little traffic study done, or it may be just as easy to call, IDOT, and they will allow you guys to change them as,
They have to change them, they have to do
Yeah.
the study, but
Yeah.
we can request one.
Yeah, sure can.
thank you.
And I
Thank you.
think-
Thank you.
Okay.
And I would say it's probably prudent to do that.
Now that we're on traffic, I think we need to go back to the stop signs on approving some type of device for those stop signs.
Did we approve those?
We did, but it's never, I don't think it's
We
ever
haven't
been
approved
ordered
that,
or.
yeah, we haven't gone to a vote for,
So I think we need to approve something, whether it be flashing light, the whirly-bird, what do you recommend, and Steve? I mean, what would help the most?
I know I mean, we could check on prices, I haven't checked on any prices. Somewhere I just traveled last week, I saw they had the whirlybirds with like a lit device that's solar. So
Yes,
it's got the
that
solar
I've seen the
panels.
solar ones.
And I'll tell you what, they stood out, it was in a pretty,
I think the whirly-bird is not gonna be it's
It's
not
not-
gonna jump out at people.
well, and especially if you're dealing nighttime, I know, cause Don, you've got, I don't know how many people going home at night, and you got CBRC coming up through there in the late hours, so.
Well, but those whirlybirds, I believe have 3M reflective tape on them, and if, with any kind of wind at all, that motion does attract your
Attention.
Some,
attention,
but I think a
and-
flashing indicator
and they
would be.
are highly reflective with that.
But I go by them out at 240
3M tape.
all the time, and they just don't stand out
Yeah.
compared to the ones that have the lights on them.
Well, I've done some checking on the stop signs with the solars. They're pretty expensive.
Oh, we understand it's expensive, but it's
Starts
also,
around $1,700 a piece.
To rely on the wind and the motion, I think that will do as much as a flashing light would do.
what I've seen with the motions, a lot of them don't have any motion, they just sit there after a couple of months. That's what I've seen.
Have to stay on top of the solar ones too, bro.
Hmm?
Probably have to stay on top of the solar ones too.
Yeah,
It's been a minute, but Brad mentioned it, and I wanna say the whirly ones were 100, a little
That's what I
over,
was
and the solar, I think, were double. Or almost like that and a half. So maybe it was the difference of $100 versus $2 around in there.
What does a
regular sign cost?
Well, the signs are already up. I'm just talking about just the,
What does the stop signs cost?
cost per sign,
So we just put 2 of them up and they find out what it costs.
3 of them up.
That was before I,
Alright.
I'm sure what
Yeah.
they were.
Reason I say that, I just went through one the other day that really stood out, and about 50 feet in front of the stop sign, on each side of the road, there was 2 big signs that was red, that it was like, holy cow, what is this? And obviously it was in the shape of a stop sign, and it said stop ahead on it, but it wasn't an actual stop sign, but it really caught my attention. So I know it was just a sign, but it seemed like it caught my attention more than the ones like you're talking about up on 75 and 240. I ran through them myself at a time or two.
I mean, we do have the stop ahead sign, the triangulars.
Well, these were really flashy. I mean, there was no electronics on them or no lighting on them, but they were bright. And they definitely draw your attention because they were standing on each side of the road. If you're coming down the road, that one on the north-hand side is kind of hidden until you get up to it. So
Right.
maybe something brighter up ahead that allows some notification that something's coming up.
Where did you see these signs at?
I knew you was gonna ask that, Larry. I'm gonna have to confer
You
with
need to
my
take
wife.
that, Alex.
I believe it was on our way to Richmond. But we're there quite a bit, so I'd like to get photos of them is what I was gonna like to do.
Mhm. I mean, if the whirlybirds are what, $100 a pop, let's just go ahead and get them up, and then we can look at something to enhance that if we need to, but at least we need to do something to make it somewhat more visible.
The
Because-
whirlybird thing that you're talking about, that's just something that mounts to the
To
sign?
the top of the sign.
I see.
And if they're $100 a piece, I would say, let's go ahead and get those up.
Motion.
And I think if we do it, I mean, we don't need to do it at the Stardust exit, because that's pretty much a given, but I think the other two.
I think Stardust needs to do, and I think that sign needs to be moved back and lowered a little bit. That's a lot higher than the other two. The one going east on, Stardust Road is, the top of it is level with the top of the wall, and the one coming north out of Stardust is way above the wall. And if you're not looking up, you may not even notice it coming out of Stardust.
Okay,
So I'll motion that we put 3 whirlybirds up as soon as possible.
Yes.
I'll second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And should we put always stop signs on there? Have we used always stops in Cloverdale?
It's currently not an always stop.
Because out of the parking lot, it's not stopped yet.
Oh, okay. Is that an issue?
Not for me. I will just say, I have seen increased compliance, and, as an opponent of it, I have to retract that, because it's really been, it really has been a good thing. People are stopping, for the most part. You have visitors that blow through it to go straight, but.
And we understand that, looking at the visual of it, those
Yeah.
stop signs are back off the road with that passing.
But I'm just
lane.
saying that compliance has been really pretty good, as from my observation.
Mhm. I would say, let's do the whirlybirds to start with, and then look at enhancing that with something.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we're gonna go back to Mr. Hardwick and request Indiana State to do something,
Well,
a case study or not?
actually, Steve has to ask for that.
You call I out there in Crawford, you don't get permission from it, or they do these studies without the hoses.
Do we need a motion to have Steve?
No,
No.
I can just do that.
Okay.
Okay, the town billboard,
Yes, the town, I checked with Eric Heyman, it's his billboard. He said the town could use the billboard. The Chamber of Commerce paid to have the billboard plastic made and paid to have it installed. I was never aware of any yearly contract after that. So why this contract came up, I have no idea. And on this renewal, oh, never mind, I've been corrected on that already. But I don't think we should pay this man, this company, because Eric said it should be something to be checked out, because it was his billboards. He said the town could use it. And I know that the chamber paid for having it put on. Now, how it come to be a town project, I do not know.
I think probably, and again, I don't have a ton of information about this, just because I didn't really do anything with redevelopment. But I wanna say that at some time in the past year or year and a half, and maybe I could, and Mark or Don, you guys might know, the chamber may have worked with the redevelopment commission.
No, I can give you another thing. I left the chamber in April of 19. This first contract was made up in May of 19 by Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm not sure then. That was the only thing that I could think, maybe the redevelopment commission had paid for some of that contract, but.
No, well,
I tried to research some of that, and it looks like it came from a grant. It looked like it was grant money, but I could find no documentation from the grant or anything like that, and I actually got last year's contract from this
I
guy,
recall-
there's no information here.
I recall being on the chamber, there was no mention of any yearly contract after that.
No, I can concur. The chamber did not enter into any contract whatsoever. We did pay for the production and installation, but there was no ongoing fees to be assessed.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can probably check on that, so it was around $4,200.
That is
I remember I made out 2 checks for it.
correct.
So the $354 a
Who's
month
the bill from?
shouldn't be assessed at all.
No, I don't think.
I mean, if it's, what's his name, Eric, that owns it?
Yes.
It's his sign, so why are we paying
It's
his
his
company?
billboard, it's our
It's his
sign,
billboard.
it's the chamber sign, that's all.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Who is the bill from? The sign company or Eric?
No, the sign company. I talked to Eric, and he said this should be checked out.
Well, I was under the impression at the time it was being talked about at the chamber meeting that this was a one-time charge for the covers and for the installation of them. There was never any discussion about an ongoing fee, to my knowledge. Now, going backwards, in prior time, when I was on the redevelopment commission for the town of Cloverdale, the redevelopment commission did contract with a company, a different sign company, to put up a billboard about the availability of commercial and industrial property available for development in Cloverdale. But that was a whole separate issue from this, and and it was done directly with the billboard company, and it was limited basically to 1 year, and that was done. The redevelopment commission had no authority or no import with this recent installation, and Eric provided these boards at no charge.
Now, I don't remember of last year of the council, this being brought in front of the council last year to be paid. If we haven't paid it now, I don't think we should.
Kelly, can you do some more research on that for us?
Yeah, we don't wanna pay it until we confirm that.
Yeah, I will say one thing that he had said is there was a difference between the yearly cost to rent it and the production installation, and I think that shows on the 2 contracts I gave you a copy of. He sent me the last year's contract, and so there was a separate fee for the installation and production, and then he said there was a 1-year fee for basically rental per month, and that they had paid it all up front.
They don't
charge a
yeah,
rent.
that's the
They
thing.
not
don't
own
own
charge
that.
a rent.
From what we're understanding, it is not their billboard.
Okay.
Right, right.
All right,
Kelly,
I will
I'll
ask.
help you with that.
Yeah,
I can try to reach out.
That or just clarification on it, I mean, if
Yeah.
Eric owns it, it shouldn't be a rental, yeah.
Let me just ask you hypothetically, if this is accurate, does council want to renew this for another year? Everything pans out and this is an accurate invoice.
I don't feel like we get very much for the sign,
I think the other signage out there for
for the Cloverdale exit.
the Cloverdale exit's sufficient that we're here.
When you're coming off of 70 from the west, is it on the right side, is
Yes.
it white?
Yes.
It's
Just
got like
before the trucks, a big wide one.
Okay.
It's a double billboard, actually.
Yes, it says welcome to Cloverdale, and then it's got like,
Something I noticed, and this is all across Indiana, it must be because we're conservative, but every little town, I mean, in Greencastle where I live, okay, you come into town and you come into town here and you see the little Cloverdale sign, and it's like it's bolted to the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. Holy smokes, couldn't we afford 2 things on each, where it says Cloverdale, or 1? But, it's kind of a little cheesy when they have it bolted to a 45-mile-an-hour sign, you can go check the other, I don't know about the other. But Greencastle, it's the same way, and I brought it up, I was on the Chamber of Commerce, and I said, this just looks like super cheap, we can't afford two little poles, Cloverdale, two little poles, Greencastle. We gotta bolt it to the 45-mile-an-hour sign, I mean, it just looks like. I know, it just looks cheap. And the town ought to have a little bit of say-so and say, you know what, we'll chip in. We'll get 2 poles and we'll mount Cloverdale on that, so it looks like somebody lives here. I mean, it just. Huh? No, I know, the billboard's a different issue, I'm talking about the sign as you come into town on 231, it's just like.
I will say too, it may be beneficial to reach out to businesses.
It looks cheap.
I know on that sign, because I just saw it tonight, I see it every night when I drive in. It's got a big C-Bar-C logo on it. So maybe the town could work with some of the businesses and see if they potentially would consider contributing or helping with that fee if it pans out that it's correct. It is a very big sign and it definitely draws your attention. The question is, I think, do you think that it's benefiting the town? And I'm not sure.
It is not the town's billboard, Daniel.
No, I know that, but I'm saying if
It's not the town's plastic on there, it's the chamber's.
well, yeah, I think, but I'm guessing the chamber probably, I would assume, gave that to the town, so it would be the town's. So in the event that the town doesn't choose to, if this turns out to be accurate, you don't renew this, I don't know what we'll do with that, because they'll pull that stuff off the sign. And
No, they won't. It's not theirs.
well, I know, I'm saying it will become ours once it comes off of the sign if the town doesn't renew this, so. That's what I'm saying. But we'll get some more information, I'll work with Kelly.
Okay, Greg, are you here? No, Greg? Okay. Main Street, did you have something on them?
Yeah, I just wanted to fill you in. I get several emails from the Main Street property owners, specifically there's one, a guy by the name of Greg Beasley, he owns a few of the properties there on Main Street. Keeps requesting that the town waive some kind of inspection that he needs for electrical work. He hasn't really given me a lot of information about why the town, he keeps saying that the town, that this is the town's responsibility to do this. Apparently Duke, he's been in contact with Duke, and Duke has indicated that the town has to do this inspection before they'll turn on electrical service to these buildings. I have reached out to the county to try to determine what exactly the need is there. I have not received a response yet. I'm not sure, my recommendation to the council with this is he wants the town to waive the inspection. I think that could be very problematic if
I don't
there
think we
were.
can waive an inspection, I mean, that has to go now through the building inspector
Right.
and, I mean, for safety and liability, we can't waive an inspection.
I think for safety, that's the big thing, but also the county is handling our inspections and
It has to go-
permitting.
Yes,
And I have not heard anything directly from the county's inspector that he is or is not going to be inspecting this.
The owners need to get in touch with the inspector.
And that's what I've encouraged them to do, and that doesn't seem to satisfy them. So, I would just, I just wanted to present that to you.
yeah, no, for safety and liability, we can't waive an inspection if Duke Energy is not willing to waive it, then we're surely not willing to waive it.
He said that it's the town's responsibility, and my problem is I'm not sure where he's getting this information. I don't know if he's even, I know that they did some facade work on the outside of the building, but as far as I can tell at this point, there has not been any kind of fee for inspection services for the interior of the building, which is wholly separate and different. So I've recommended that Mr. Beasley contact the county. I don't know if he's had much communication with the county at this point, but I think that's probably the best thing for the town at this point.
It's private property, it's up between him and Duke Energy to get the power restored.
I just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of that, and that I had presented his request to the council. But I will probably refrain from, I will inform him of the council's response and direct him to the county for all
And he
future
may have thought
communication.
that since when we were inspecting, you know, now we're not.
I think too that it would be problematic to, again, to waive any kind of fee when
Well, I
all
think
permitting is done
at
by
this
the
point in
county.
time, we've made small baby steps in getting the main street cleaned up. I think we need to become more aggressive in trying to get the work completed over there and get the stores onboarded and get it so it's looking presentable to our town.
I wasn't on the board, Greg, last year when this took place, but didn't the town give them about a year to get everything done? And it seemed like they did right there within that year. And then it seems like it's not much has happened after that, right? Like you say, it's still boarded up.
They did make some improvements to the facade, which was, I think, kind of the
They've made it safe, but they have not made it presentable.
I think that, I'm sure his contention would be, well, he can't with Duke holding this up, but at the same time, from a legal perspective, I'm not going to make a recommendation that the town waive something that affects the safety of those entering the building, especially when it's not our responsibility to do permitting or inspections any longer. So I think that he needs to consult with the county, and I will continue to reemphasize that, but I'm not sure if that will satisfy him or not, so.
And where are we going to go with, you know, the future as far as what are we going to require that they do to get these buildings put back in, you know?
It's something that may be beneficial, and I need to probably consult with the county on this. The state fire marshal may want to come in and look at some of these buildings. They're gonna have to have, I'm guessing, probably some extensive inspections done on the interior of the buildings to ensure that the interiors are also sound. You know, I don't know what, if any, role the county would have in that, but it may be to the town's interest.
Well, even if the county doesn't get involved, I think it's time that the town starts to take some steps toward getting the stores put back into some type of presentable shape. Because the plywood has been up there now for quite a while. And nothing has happened with these stores since the brickwork was done.
Well, one of them has. The pizza niche has been worked on several different days.
I've noticed that, and I don't know if there's been a permit that's been.
Still on just the outside.
Okay, is it just the outside?
So they have their water and I believe their electric turned on as well. Water definitely, and I believe electric.
Okay.
So they would have had to get the permit also for Duke, so it's
Right.
doable.
Because I believe Duke shut the entire section down,
Right.
so.
And I know that Mr. Beasley had purchased a couple, he owns two of the buildings. I believe one of the buildings that he purchased had been vacant for several years prior to the issue on the facade. So I don't know the condition of the electrical wiring in that building.
Well, I think at a minimum, we need to get the storefronts cleaned up and presentable. What they do on the inside, you know, as long as the storefront and the appearance looks like a finished store, I think that's what we need to move forward with now, is getting the front of the stores looking so they're not abandoned buildings. And then, you know, if they wanna leave them abandoned, that's their choice, but at this point in time, I think we do need to get the storefronts cleaned up and doors and windows put in and at least get the cleanup done.
That's all I had to say. I just want to present that to you, so you're aware.
Do you need to send those property owners a letter to that effect?
Yes, it probably would be,
And let's give them a time frame because we're into this, how long now?
quite some time.
Yeah.
Year and a
it's
half.
time to-
About a year and a half, hasn't it?
That's what I'm saying, it's been a year and a half and it's time to
Yeah.
get it done.
The,
Now would COVID hold them up on any of that, do you think?
well, and that's the part that, at least with the inspections, I haven't had any contact with Mr. Hatfield with the county in regards to COVID, so I'm not sure if he's been given authority to do anything beyond an emergency inspection. That could be the other issue with all of this, so,
Well, I think we write a letter and let them know of our intent. And if they can come back and show that it's due to inspections, we can obviously extend that out. But we need to see some progress.
Yeah.
But they also need to have it in writing that the county is doing our inspections now. And they will have to go through the county for
That
permits.
we're
and
not,
such.
we're not authorized to waive any inspections.
I will issue a letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a grant of easement from Duke Energy for the park down here. The only thing they want to do is widen their easement so that they have a better access and trimming of trees with the power lines going through there. They've determined that that is a problem with that power line, that their easement is not wide enough. And it just needs notarized in the signature and then picked up again by their representative. And I need approval to,
Where was this again, Larry? I'm sorry.
down here at the park,
On the outside of the fence?
inside the park.
Inside the fence?
Yes.
For access to maintain the trees
Yeah.
for the power line.
Okay, yeah.
And do I have a motion to approve that?
All motion.
And I will sign that and get it notarized.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Alright,
And
we had one other issue with the appliance guy at the sidewalk and tire shop. So I drove by there, was it last weekend, and he had clothing racks out at the curb, and he was selling clothes.
At the tire shop?
Yes. And we've seen several vehicles parked in the driveway. We've got an old abandoned van in the back.
Camper, yeah.
Camper.
I saw that on the way.
Did you get any reply back on the letter?
No. And in regards to the tire shop, IDIM has been notified. It is a health hazard, the way he's storing the tires. It's also a safety hazard, because who knows what the condition.
Well, and if it's a tire shop, I don't think we should be parking vehicles out there for sale and putting clothing racks out and selling clothes off the racks. It's a tire shop.
Right. So,
But isn't that commercial property?
It's commercial property, but it was a tire shop, not a clothing and
The
apparel and.
Yeah, but Walmart sells tires and clothes too. So does he have a merchant's license? That's what I would start with that.
that's the first thing that we need to talk about, because the town does require businesses to have licenses. I don't believe he has one, so.
The RV is something else, and if it's just parked there or it's being utilized, lived in, et cetera, that's a whole different issue. But just having a clothes rack with clothes on it and selling clothes or firecrackers or whatever, or popsicles.
It is.
Appliance guy here or down there?
Don't we have a
It's the same-
garage
same
sale
guy.
ordinance?
We do. That's
Same guy.
prohibited.
Same guy, he's got two places.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So the first issue with all this is he needs to have a business license, which he does not have.
Wow.
So that's the first area where he needs to be either purchase one.
Yep.
Or at least request one from the town. And the town can review that and decide to deny the license. And there's certain procedures that have to be followed with that. But the way our ordinances are drafted, he has to have that. If he does not have that, he cannot operate a business. And I don't believe he has come to get a business license. So that's the first area that we need to move forward on. Secondly, the way that the property, the condition of the property as it is right now, clearly is a nuisance. Not just for people in the community, but also for the adjacent business owners. Needs to be cleaned up immediately. The tires need to be put in some kind of orderly fashion. So I'm just gonna direct the marshal that based on our nuisance ordinances, we need to immediately begin, give him notice, give him time to comply. And if he does not comply, then we need to immediately begin citing him for non-compliance. Let me pull up our nuisance ordinance and all.
I know it's different, what he has up there, unless your
But
tire
then
places.
we also have the
We have the
appliances
issue.
on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
Which is also a
which
violation
is
of our
still
ordinances.
a problem that needs to be addressed.
He's 2 rows deep out
So-
in front there.
Yes. And ultimately, I don't think that he's going to comply unless we get to the point of enforcing our citations against him. That's probably the only method of,
We're there.
I know a guy that can handle that.
yeah, and so,
We'll deal with that. I mean, I know the Board of Health and IDEM have been taking a look at the tire issue.
yep,
The Board of Health contacted me back, said the only thing that they could really address is that it needs covered with a tarp because of the tires laying out there with the rain and possibly with the mosquitoes. As far as the vendors up there, I knew some of the other businesses in the past have tried having vendors come in, because I think the whole thing is, he's listed on one of the places for people to come in and almost wants to turn it like a flea market. But once again, when it goes back to the business license, do we have a book, we have been able to find a book here that's got all the license in it, who's got license, because we need to be fair and equitable across the board, and if we're making him, and we're talking about him having a business license, everyone should have a business license.
I don't know what's in there. Yes,
So,
I'll
yeah.
look for that.
so we'll
Need that.
need to track that down. But he needs to have a business license, plain and simple. That's why we have these ordinances on the books. And so, I'll work with Kelly here. and
Hey, the
see if
good
we can
news
get
is,
that.
everybody wanted the tires off the appliances downtown.
Yeah.
The tires are now off the appliances downtown.
And just so, and I will follow up on Don's question about the use of the property. There are zoning restrictions on business property and how the property can be used. And that is zone business. And I will address them with, I'm not sure what his name is, other than the appliance guy. I will address it with him
No, it's the tire guy.
and ultimately we'll have to get this.
James Kirby.
James Kirby. So I'll address it with him and hopefully we can
How's
get
it
this
zoned?
rectified.
How is it zoned?
I believe it's just, well, let me tell you.
I had to get zoning when I came in, that was an issue, so I just thought, that's,
B1, commercial.
Yeah, I'll confirm that.
I did jump through all those.
I can tell you that as a resident, I have a whole lot more problem with all the appliances on the sidewalk than I have with the tires around that building. And for a guy that was basically forced out of the alley into a building, he's come up a long way, and he really stretched himself, probably beyond what his pocketbook could handle at the moment to get to where he's at. And, I think he's made a major improvement to himself, and just by separating the two businesses and getting the tire business out of the appliance store and his service work out of the alley, and having that facility. And, you know, I have a lot less problem with him doing that tire business up there in that commercial location than I certainly have had with him down here in the alley. But with the appliances stacked on the sidewalk is ridiculous.
And in the alley.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, you could always move his appliances out to the tire shop.
Well, they may wind up out there.
I'm sure they will.
I think the tire shop's dads and the appliance store's the boys, the sons. It's not?
I don't have a clue, no, I don't.
I'm pretty sure,
I
I
think
put
you're
up with
right.
that a lot of years,
You talking about the gas station up here with all the tires?
yeah. They used to be right here at the appliance shop.
Me too, general business. So, we need to definitely get this problem corrected. If you use your business, you know, in a way that's gonna hopefully highlight the things the town has to offer, but, it definitely needs improved. It's a health hazard at this point. I'm not sure if someone's living in the mobile home
They
type
were,
vehicle.
they're no longer.
Okay, that's an
Did
issue.
you evict them?
Yeah, he's no longer in there. It was an employee of his.
So, I will continue to work with Steve, and we'll, do our best to get this resolved, hopefully quickly. And hopefully we won't have to cite him, but I do think that that's why we have the ordinances on the books. Let's do it. If we must.
Okay, I have a restoration of the sign from the depot. In the storage building, there was a sign found that said Cloverdale on it, that was on the end of the depot building.
Depot building.
And it would look very nice facing the east. I have a estimate of $200 from Tom Cummings. He is in Cloverdale. He will restore that sign for $200. Do I have approval for this or any other discussion?
And it'll go on the depot?
It'll go on the
It's
east
the
side.
original sign from the depot.
Right, will it be on the front or the side from 231, we can see it?
On the side, or end.
You can see it from 231?
Correct,
Okay,
correct,
yeah.
yeah, the east
Okay.
side.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And ADA transition plan, do you have anything on that, Daniel?
Yes, I have started working with, a company, just trying to get the ball rolling on that. And they're planning on coming in August to present something to the council. The company's called Commonwealth Engineers, and they work, in Indianapolis, but they really do work all over the state, and they help communities develop these ADA transition plans. So once we, hopefully get a better idea as to where we're at financially, this is what I told them, we'll be able to get approval for that and, get that hopefully taken care of by early 2021.
Travis is not gonna do it then, huh?
Well, Travis, I have contacted Mr. Farron multiple times, requesting an estimate to correct the sidewalk issue. I have not heard back from him, so I'm hopeful that he will reach out soon. I wanna make sure that we get all the details worked out before.
Who's the Commonwealth then? Is it gonna be sidewalks or?
No, the ADA requires like
Okay, I'm talking about the house there on Lafayette Street.
right. And that's kind of a separate issue, so that was, those sidewalks were put in by Mr. Farron. And obviously, we're gonna need to get those corrected. I hope to get an estimate from him, and then, depending on what he thinks it will cost, then it may be an issue that we have to bid out to get
There's
those
an
taken
ADA
care of.
right there in front of the house then.
Yeah, there's a slight grade issue in the sidewalk. And so, NDOT has requested that the town get those torn out and replaced. And, so hopefully we'll be able to do that, here relatively soon.
The fire in the city?
Yes, yep.
I have contacted him twice since the last council meeting,
Okay,
and I have not talked to him yet.
okay.
I've left him messages both times.
I'm sure this is probably his busy season, but I'll keep trying to.
Do a phone number for them.
I do, yes, and I can get that for you if you'd like to even call him and see if maybe he can come out.
Or I was calling, might get something done quicker.
If I don't hear anything by August, we'll probably wanna start just putting out the bid to get it repaired and get it fixed. It needs to be taken care of soon, so.
But at one point, he did say he was gonna take care of it, didn't he?
Yes.
The cost of
He was just gonna.
materials.
Yeah,
We're just gonna pay for the concrete.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else? It's a live show. Is there any comments from the audience?
Facebook?
My phone died. Yeah, nope.
Okay, call this meeting adjourned.